Hello and welcome to the Content That Converts YouTube series. I'm Luke Bunnell, a journalist and content creator. In this episode, we're talking about LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has come a hell of a long way over the years and now boasts some pretty impressive stats like 400 million monthly users, and it generates 277% more leads than Facebook and Twitter. It's a powerful social networking tool to build your brand, but only 3 million Australian users post content on LinkedIn weekly. One of the biggest barriers there is knowing what to post. Where do you start? What do you say? And does anyone really care? Well, we're going to find that out. We're talking to Tima El-Haj, who dominates LinkedIn. She's connected to me, probably you, and pretty much everyone in between. So let's ask her how you build a brand on LinkedIn.
My name is Tima, and I run a purpose-driven business named Tima Media and Consulting. And what we do is we help organizations create social currency, brand awareness, and form an online community who are loyal brand ambassadors, which in turn generates revenue. So we help companies show up in a way that is going to allow people to connect with them and want to do business with them through their content.
Tima, you've got more than 30,000 organic LinkedIn connections. Like, how the hell do you do that?
Okay. Well, before I get into how I did that, I'll just quickly explain. Not a lot of people really understand this part of LinkedIn, but you have a maximum of 30 connections in terms of how many people you can connect with on a first connection level on LinkedIn. But the number that you see on my profile is a combination of followers and actual connections. So as at the moment, it's just under 65,000, but that's a combination of both connections and followers. So I thought I'd explain that first.
So what you're telling me is you're even more powerful than what I first thought.
Yes, correct.
That's good. Don't be shy about it. I mean, it's a major achievement.
No,
I mean, as we're going to discuss a little bit later on, if you're not giving people the value, you're not going to have those sorts of figures. So well done.
Thank you so much, Luke. I really appreciate it. Okay, so how did I do that? Well, that is such a broad question, but basically I'll go back to the very, very beginning. When I came onto the platform, I needed to rebrand myself because the industry that I'm in now, I was in a very, very different industry prior. I was in financial planning and I was in that industry for about 16 years. And when I made the decision to leave my business and start something from scratch and purely just start something from the very, very beginning, I knew that it was really, really important for me to disassociate myself from my previous career and really create a whole new name for myself. Now, coming onto the platform, I was very, very clear on what my mission is and what my vision was for myself on the platform.
Let's dissect that a little if we can. You talk about your mission there. What was your mission?
My mission still stands, and my mission is that I believe that our potential is limitless and that we can be whoever we want to be and construct that within ourselves. So I really came on with a mission of wanting to not only inspire people, but actually be a part of the change and help them to make and create a better life for themselves. And I really wanted to do that through my content. Now, when I first came onto the platform, sorry, you have a question?
No, go for it.
So when I first came onto the platform, I wanted to promote my podcast, and that was very, very much in line with my mission, and it still is in line with my mission. So coming onto the platform with that mission, that's really where I was speaking from in terms of creating content. And because it came from a very, very genuine place, and because I'm genuinely connected to it, there is an emotional driver behind it all. I really feel that was one thing that really helped me create the community that I have today.
65,000 plus, it's very, very powerful. When you left the corporate world and then going off into the things that you're doing now, what was the tipping point for you? Why did you look at LinkedIn and think that's the one where I have to have a lot of engagement, or that's where I have to build my network, as opposed to, say, a Facebook or a Instagram, which can work quite well too?
Well, my thinking behind it was I knew that LinkedIn was a B2B platform. And naturally, just the way I speak and just the way I show up in the world, the corporate side is very, very natural for me. And so I just thought that LinkedIn would be a really, really great starting point and really just grow from there. And at the same time, I also knew that there were not a lot of people that were creating content on the platform in the way that I wanted to. So I really could understand very, very early on that that was going to be really powerful for me.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point you make there, because I said in the intro to the show that there's about 400 million users on LinkedIn each month, but only 3 million of them are creating and putting up their content each week. So why do you think that is? Why do you think there's such a big difference between the amount of users as opposed to the amount of people actually sharing their stories?
I really believe it's because people are really fearful and are really unsure of what they need to do. So there's one thing being scared, and there's one thing of being sort of just not really knowing what steps to take, how to create content. And I'm not just necessarily talking about the technical aspect, but what is the strategy behind it? Because you can definitely just put yourself out there with no strategy and not get the same results that you want. So I really do feel that it's fear and just not having clarity around what they need to do.
We're going to talk about LinkedIn content strategy in a moment, because it's very important. But just to your point there, when you first started out, were you fearful about putting up your content?
100% I was. And the way I started creating content, Luke, was through video. Mm-hmm. And you would, if you look at my videos, you would think that I'm a natural person in front of video. And when I first started, I can tell you, and I still don't like photos. Like, I don't like taking pictures. I'm not someone that naturally likes to.
Yeah, I get that too. As someone who's in the same space, it's confronting.
It is confronting, and I was never one to take selfies and just post them randomly and put like a random quote pretending that it has to do anything with the quote. Like, I was never that person.
Some motivational quote from Tony Robbins, you mean?
Yeah, exactly, where I just happened to look really pretty in that picture and I was never that kind of person to do anything like that. So what I did initially was, when I started to create video, I reminded myself that my mission actually has nothing to do with me, and that it's so much bigger than who I am as a human being. And so I naturally just said to myself, Tima, get over yourself. This actually has nothing to do with you, and it's for a greater cause. And that is what helped push me through that fear, because naturally when you watch yourself or look at a picture of yourself, you are going to criticize yourself, especially if you are not doing a lot of that content and I guess putting yourself out there.
It's very true. And I guess with LinkedIn, as with other social media platforms, quite often, unfortunately, it can be dominated by people who don't lack the confidence, they just lack the value. And it's driven by ego. So when you come along, when you do actually have a message to share, it's understandable that there is an element of fear around it, because you don't want to be tied into the egotistical nature of other people. And you do question whether people will really resonate with your message. But clearly in your case, they are.